Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, says one nation should have one election. One day, Lok Sabha elections, state assembly elections, everything one shot. Why should you have elections every second month, every second year? Why? One election, 1 year, 1 day, finished, khatam. You see, I pray to God that Baba, election should be there every day. Every day there should be some election or the other in this country. Because that's the only way a middle class can survive in this country if there is election. You know why? Because if there is election, the government ensures that the price is kept in check. Petrol prices are kept in check. And the moment elections are over, like we see in the last 2 days, every day 80 paise increase in petrol and diesel. Every day you increase 80 paise. The moment elections are over, the prices rise. And that is why I pray, sincerely pray to God that we have elections every month. Let's talk about petrol price. Let's talk about price rise. Let's get right into the show. So let's talk about petrol prices and diesel prices, fuel prices. You see, there is a major conflict. The center says, why should we reduce our price? Why should we reduce taxes? Ask your states to reduce taxes. State says, Baba, mera GST paisa nahi aata hai. I don't get the GST from the center on time. How am I supposed to run my state? So, the only way we get some money is through fuel. वो भी अगर हम लोग ने कम किया, how are we supposed to run the government? This is what the state government asks. Central government says that, Baba, listen, last time, for instance, they said, vaccination hai, COVID hai, you'll have to pay for vaccination. No, where are we going to pay from? So, let's hike the fuel price. Let's take taxes from fuel. And so on and so forth. This is the argument. The problem with hiking fuel prices, the problem with fuel taxes. The problem with fuel taxes is normally an economist will tell you that it is always good to tax the rich and spare the poor. Because if you tax the rich and the poor, the same way, the rich will go on getting richer and the poor will go on getting poorer. So the bridge, the gap between rich and poor will widen like nobody's business. And that's what we are seeing in the economy currently. I'll tell you what I mean by that. A person who stays in Malabar Hill in Mumbai, for instance, possibly working in Nariman Point, travels in his S-Class Mercedes, buys the fuel at the same price that a person staying in Borivali, working in Nariman Point, using possibly his two-wheeler, pays for the fuel. So the fuel price for both these gentlemen are almost the same. But the fact is, the hole that this fuel price creates in the pocket of that gentleman who stays in Borivali and who travels all the way to Nariman Point is far larger than the rich man who travels in his S-Class a few kilometers to go to his office. That rich man who travels in his S-Class doesn't even bother him. But the poor man, for the poor man, he has to possibly tighten his belt that night, because when every time a fuel price goes up, a chapati in his table goes down. So, increasing fuel taxes actually creates disparity in the society. You make the rich richer and poor poorer. Now let us understand, before I get into all this, let us understand this some basic facts. Let's get into some data as we usually do. For instance, in Delhi, if you are paying 100 rupees, for easy calculation, say you are paying 100 rupees for petrol per litre, out of that 100 rupees, 45 rupees you are paying as taxes. In fact, 45 rupees 30 paise you are paying as taxes. Only 54 rupees 70 paise is paid for actual fuel and for that company profits and that running that retail outlet and all that is 54 rupees 70 paise is what you actually pay. 45 rupees 30 paise, almost half is paid as pure taxes. Now, here half mein central taxes, that is out of 43 rupees 30 paise, central taxes is 29%, which constitutes to 64% of the total tax. And state taxes is 16 rupees 30 paise, which constitutes the 36% of the total tax. So 64% of taxes is central, and 34% tax is state. This is what you need to broadly understand. This is for your mental calculation. I'll go a little further. Acha, just before I get central taxes, your central taxes is, as on March 2022, is fixed at 27 rupees 90 paise per state. So all state they charge 27 rupees 90 paise as far as central tax is concerned. But VAT keeps on changing. State on state. So now here for instance in Delhi, the charges are 29 rupees. So VAT here is 1 rupee more, roughly 1 rupee 10 paise more than 1 rupee 10 paise in Delhi. So VAT keeps on changing, but the central taxes remains the same. So this is broadly what it is. Now let us understand, just for our information, let us understand the amount of taxes that each state collects. State money, state and center put together, the taxes that is collected per state for fuel. Okay, this is interesting actually. Ladakh, for instance, collects 44 rupees 60 paise. Jammu and Kashmir collects 45 rupees 90 paise. This is assuming that the cost of petrol is 100 rupees. Jammu and Kashmir collects 45 rupees 90 paise. Himachal 44 rupees 40 paise. Punjab 44 rupees 60 paise. Rajasthan 50 rupees 80 paise. Madhya Pradesh 50 rupees 60 paise. If the cost is 100 rupees, 50 rupees 60 paise goes to Madhya Pradesh. And 50 rupees 60 paise goes as taxes. Gujarat 44 rupees 50 paise. Maharashtra 52 rupees 50 paise. Telangana 51 rupees 60 paise. Karnataka 48 rupees 10 paise. Tamil Nadu 48 rupees 60 paise. Kerala 50 rupees 20 paise. West Bengal 48 rupees 70 paise, Bihar 50 rupees, Uttar Pradesh 45 rupees 20 paise. These are broadly what a state collects from you as taxes for fuel. I told you the broad division is 64% of it goes to center, 36% of it goes to the state. Central tax remains stable at 27 rupees 90 paise. VAT keeps on changing as far as center taxes are concerned. Now, I told you about what happens. I told you what happens if the prices go up. I told you that it creates disparity. It creates disparity between the rich and the poor. The poor becomes poorer, the rich becomes richer. I told you that. Another very basic problem is when fuel prices rise, the entire economy, there is inflation. Every price starts rising because every product to reach your homes, to reach your retail outlets, it requires fuel, no? For you to reach somewhere, you require fuel, no? So, when fuel price rise, every product, everything starts rising. Now, I'm going to tell you the prices of some of the products, staple products that is bought by a middle class household. I do not talk about rich, I only talk about middle class. Middle class household and how it affects them. I will talk about some products, the prices in March 2020, the prices in October 2021 and the price in March 2022. That is as of now 2022. Let's talk about the price and the difference in the price. Now let's start with tuar dal. In March 2020, most of these are in Hindi, so I'm going to read out in Hindi. I'll translate whatever I can in English, but it's a Hindi table. So there we go. Tuar dal, March 2020, 81 rupees. October 21, 95 rupees. March 22, 110 rupees. March 20 to March 22, from 81 rupees to 110 rupees. Soya oil, 95 rupees, 140 rupees, and March 22, 165 rupees. 95 to 165. That's been the inflation. Sunflower oil, 111 rupees, March 20, 150 and 190. 111 to 190. Let's talk about mustard oil. 120 rupees, 180 rupees and 200 rupees. Let's talk about sugar. 34 rupees 50 paise, 41 rupees, 38 rupees. From 34 rupees to 38 rupees. Let's talk about groundnuts. 91 rupees March 2020, 115 October 2021 and 120 March 2022. Kishmish 220 March 2020, 400, 250. Kishmish actually came down post October 2021. Chana dal 54 rupees, 65 rupees, 70 rupees. Moong dal 80 rupees, 95 rupees, 105 rupees. Urud dal 90 rupees, 105, 120. Besan 60 rupees, 75 rupees, and another product that came down to 68 rupees March 2022. Rice 44 rupees, 54 rupees, 64 rupees. Poha 33 rupees, 45 rupees, and 50 to 60 rupees depending on the state you are buying it from. Kabuli chana 75 rupees, 150 rupees, 125 rupees. Rajma 85 rupees, 120 rupees, 170 rupees. Salt 18 rupees, 22 rupees, 24 rupees. Atta 22 rupees, 25 rupees, 29 rupees. Rava 23 rupees, 27, 31. Maida 24, 28, 32. Every product except for two products, every product, the price rise was tremendous. This is how fuel price affects the inflation. This is how fuel price affects the common man. And these are products that are bought by a common man. I don't have to tell you. People, unemployment growing. With all of this, the price increasing. Can you even imagine the state of a middle class in India? Can you even imagine? Somewhere down the line, I don't know where and for who is this government working. Definitely not for middle class or neither for poor. The government all of a sudden thinks of the poor and the middle class when it comes to election, and that is precisely why in the starting of this editorial, I said I pray to God that there is election every day. Every day let there be election. Because only if there is election, it looks like this government will understand people's plight, understands people's problem, and govern to ensure that people are kept safe and they get 2 square meals on their table every day. Till I see you next time. Namaskar.